Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and I'm taking care of business. Joining me today is Corinne Pohlmann, who is Senior Vice President, National Affairs and Partnerships with the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. Corinne, today the CFIB put out a news release raising the alarm about unaffordable credit card fees for small business owners across Canada. How bad is it for those owners?
Well, let's just say it's just another icing on the cake of many different things that are sort of being layered on them right now when it comes to not only dealing with the aftermath of the pandemic, and hopefully we're on the way out of that, but of course, rising prices across the board with inflation where it is, supply chain challenges. This is just another piece of the puzzle of what it is that they're having to deal with these days. And because of the pandemic, a lot of people shifted the way they paid for things to more electronic and digital payments, and those inevitably cost more for a business to accept. So they've also seen their actual credit card digital payment fees go up as a result.
Yeah, and I guess the use of credit cards because of e-commerce especially is just going to continue to grow, right?
Unfortunately, it probably is. I mean, there's a lot of discussion that this is sort of a permanent shift in how people are going to be expecting to pay in the future. I mean, we know that over half of our members reduced their use of cash or stopped accepting cash as payments. And many of them have moved and shifted now to accepting credit cards. I mean, over 95 or 93% are now accepting credit cards. And that includes businesses that you don't traditionally think of as accepting credit cards, like manufacturing and agriculture and that kind of thing. But also, of course, e-commerce has become a much more important tool for a lot of retailers and other types of businesses that can do their transactions online. So all of those things are likely going to stay to some degree, which are all probably going to be higher costs for small businesses to absorb.
Okay, so when we look at the impact that, say, credit card fees has, I would think that it's a greater impact on the smaller the business, right? So if you're a small retail store, mom and pop shop, so to speak, it's going to be much more impact on you than if you're a retail store with 50 staff, right?
That's right, because credit cards are one of those things that when you accept credit cards as a merchant, you pay a fee every time you accept a credit card from a customer. But the fees you pay vary by business, and the higher the volumes, the lower the fee. So for a larger company that has lots of volume, they pay a far lower percentage fee on every transaction than a smaller company does. We're not really 100% sure exactly what the differences are, but we do know that smaller companies can pay double, triple, sometimes more than that than a larger company can for the same transaction.
All right, and Corinne, in terms of the federal government and the payment industry itself, what is the CFIB urging them to do?
Well, we have had success over the years in working with the government and the payments industry and trying to get a little bit of a lasso around the industry. Certainly 10, 12 years ago, there wasn't a lot of oversight of what was happening. We introduced something called the Credit Card Code of Conduct by working with the federal government on that. And that is now at least gotten a little bit of a lasso around the industry, and there are certain rules they have to abide by. That does help small merchants. That is currently going through a review process, making sure it's as modern as possible. But secondly, of course, is the fees themselves. We have seen the government work with the industry to help lower the fees a couple times already, most recently in 2020. However, I think given everything that's happened in the last little while, there's again a concerted effort to try to get governments to work with the industry to potentially lower it one more time. It was promised in budget 2021 by the Liberals that they would be looking to find ways to further lower credit card fees. So we're kind of going to hold their feet to the fire on this one and say, look, we're coming up 2 years since you made the promise, what's going to happen? And hence why today we were asking them another push for them to do some more on this particular issue.
Okay, super. Well, thanks, Corinne, for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, super. That was Corinne Pohlmann, Senior Vice President, National Affairs and Partnerships with the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. I'm Mario Toneguzzi. This has been Taking Care of Business. Thanks for joining us today.